Extreme Monsters, Book 2, What's with Wulf? Chapter 3, A Swell Contract. Val looked at Jinx. Jinx looked at Val. Their mouths were hanging open. Wulf has joined Team Pendant. Doc was almost as stunned as they were. "Tell me this isn't happening," moaned Steiner. Mumford was trying not to cry. "It's the spell Wulf did," said Jinx. It was wild magic. It warped his mind." "No kidding," said Val. "Let's try to talk to him." Val led the others toward the shouting mass of reporters and photographers who formed a human wall around Wulf and Damon. "This is what those reporters were waiting for," Jinx said angrily. "Damon must have leaked the scoop about Wulf switching teams. That's why the reporters keep asking us about him." Val nodded as he craned his neck to get a better look at Wulf. Only Steiner, who was taller than everyone else, could see him. "Why did you leave the Extreme Monsters?" shouted a reporter in the front. The team members couldn't believe their ears. They actually heard Wulf's voice say, "Extreme Monsters? What are you talking about? Everyone knows I am the Extreme Monster." Jinx rolled her eyes. "The Extreme Monster? Please." As the four friends made their way back to the crowd, reporters shouted more questions. "I want you all to know that Wulf here came to me on his own," answered Damon Christopher. "I did no coercing or cajoling. Wulf just knew that Team Pendant is the only team that can offer all the best to a skater of his caliber. And as the Extreme Monster, he will be the centerpiece of our team. He will be the Team Pendant superstar." "Oh man," Steiner groaned. "I hope Wulf didn't sign a contract with that lying jerk. If Val hadn't rescued me, I'd still be Damon's slave." "A contract?" Jinx gasped, horrified. "He couldn't. He wouldn't. Steiner, pretend you're a reporter." "What?" said Steiner. "Why? I don't have time to explain," Jinx whispered. "Just ask Wulf if he signed a contract. Do it." Jinx snapped her fingers and her wand appeared in her hand. She began pushing her way into the crowd of reporters. As she worked her way toward Wulf, she considered spell after spell. There had to be one that would work. Then she had it. Jinx knew exactly what to do. If only. Another babble of shouted questions peppered the air. Steiner's bellow was the loudest of them all. "Wulf, have you signed a contract yet?" Wulf didn't answer. It was as if he couldn't hear Steiner talking. Several other reporters shouted out the same question. "Have you signed a contract?" "Not yet, dudes, but I am pumped to be with the best," Wulf answered. "His signing ceremony will take place this evening, carried live exclusively on Pendant Enterprises' own satellite Extreme Sports channel," said Damon smoothly. "You are all invited to the ceremony, the most important event in extreme team sports this year." "Not if I can stop it," Jinx thought fiercely. There were more shouted questions, but the billionaire owner said, "Thank you, gentlemen and ladies. That will be all for now." Jinx had nearly reached the front of the crowd when she heard the door of the Hummer opening. She was going to be too late. Already muttering her spell, Jinx burst through the final ring of reporters and found herself face to face with Wulf. Jinx stared into Wulf's eyes, but Wulf looked right through her. Damon Christopher had Wulf by the arm. He was half inside the Hummer, trying to tug Wulf in with him, but Wulf was busy smiling and posing. Wulf raised his right fist. "Save the Crony Island roller coaster," he shouted. "That's what it's all about." He looked right at Jinx, and his expression didn't change. He still didn't see her. She didn't exist. Jinx told herself not to let it bother her, since she had no idea what the magic had done to him. She finished her spell. Read the contract small print well. Skip this step, your hand will swell. Jinx flicked her wand. The magic landed right where she had aimed it. Ow, said Wulf, grabbing his raised fist. What happened? Damon asked him. I don't know, Wulf said, rubbing his hand. I think something stung me. No problem, said Damon, practically shoving Wulf into the Hummer. You don't skate with your hands. The door slammed shut and the Hummer drove away. The crowd of reporters turned on Val, Jinx, Steiner, and Mumford, shoving microphones in their faces and shouting, How do you feel about your ex-teammate joining your greatest rivals? How did they think we would feel? Val muttered angrily as he watched the reporters dash off to report their stories. Jinx sighed. Maybe we should have told them the truth about Wulf hexing himself. We couldn't, said Steiner. It would sound like sour grapes. Besides, who'd believe Wulf would do a dumb thing like that? Somebody who knew Wulf, Mumford said. The extreme monsters couldn't stop smiling. Of all the impulsive stunts Wulf had pulled, this was easily the worst. Jinx's smile faded. I was standing in front of Wulf and he looked right through me. He must have heard my voice, but he didn't answer me either, Steiner said slowly. He's ignoring us, pretending we don't exist, grumbled Mumford. We're just extreme monsters. He's the extreme monster, Val said bitterly. It's annoying, said Jinx, but maybe he couldn't help it. He is under a spell, and it's not all his fault. I mean, he was being annoying and showing off, but I didn't have to lose my temper and yell at him. Jinx hung her head. It was my fault too. And mine, Val sighed. I knew he was feeling a bit jealous of the TV show. I didn't have to be so bossy. Hey, man, I just ignored him. That's even worse, said Steiner. How can we save him? Asked Mumford. Jinx put her hand around the small boy's shoulder. We'll give it our best shot, Mumphy, but it may take a while to undo the spell. If it's even possible. Can anyone remember exactly what Wulf said and did? Some of it, said Steiner. A little, I think, mumbled Mumford. Val sighed. Not much, and we have a more immediate problem. Damon said Wulf is going to sign his Pendant contract tonight. Jinx laughed. Oh, I don't think we need to worry about that. Why? Val asked suspiciously. He turned to stare at the young witch. Jinx, what did you do? Let's watch the show tonight, said Jinx. Let's just see what happens. That evening, the four monsters sat around the television in Val's den, eating popcorn. Val sipped a sparkling beet juice, while the rest of the gang drank soda. The logo for Damon's Satellite Extreme Sports Channel flashed on the screen. The television showed a fancy room lined with trophies. Giant pictures of Wulf in Pendant gear were positioned, next to several pictures of a smiling Damon Christopher. An announcer was saying in a hushed voice, This is where the most important signing in extreme sports history will take place. A signing so significant that the officials here at the Satellite Extreme Sports Channel have decided to cancel all regular programming to bring you this amazing event live. A handful of popcorn bounced off the screen. The officials, please, yelled Jinx impatiently. The station is owned by Damon Christopher. Of course they would cancel a re-earn of Pendant Sports profile for this. The television showed a high table with the contract prominently displayed on it. Beside the contract perched the Team Pendant mascot, Vincent the Raven. A loud brass fanfare faded into a diving beat. Spotlights swirled and whirled. Strobe lights flashed. And then it all stopped. The spotlight zeroed in on a single spot on the floor. The floor opened, and Wulf and Damon Christopher rose slowly up as fireworks flashed around them. The young werewolf was covered with gold chains. "Nice and understated," said Val. The 5 members of Team Pendant stepped in behind them. Among them were Chip Brentwood and Scott Squire, 2 extreme athletes who were good enough they didn't need Christopher's cheating ways. There was a little girl that Val didn't recognize. That wasn't surprising, as Damon seemed to hire and fire team members on a whim. 2 were monsters, tall, green, warty, super strong teenagers with green skin and long, greasy green hair. They were known as the Slime Brothers for their ability to ooze toxic gunk from the palms of their hands. Jinx ate a fistful of popcorn. "The Slime Brothers are nearly as ugly on TV as they are in real life," Steiner snorted. "Up till now they've been Damon's favorite henchmen." "They're looking at Wulf like they want to flatten him," said Mumford, sounding worried. "You're right," Val said seriously. "Those goons must feel threatened. They'll try to hurt Wulf if they can." On the television, Damon and Wulf stood beside the table. The contract was in front of them. Damon took a gold pen from a red velvet pillow and offered it to Wulf so he could sign on the dotted line. "Don't do it, man." Steiner covered his face. "Tell me when it's over." "It'll be okay," Jinx said. "I hope." She crossed her fingers. The television showed a close-up of Wulf's hand taking the pen. As the friends watched, Wulf's hand began to swell, as if someone was blowing it up like a balloon. The fingers grew fatter and fatter, until it looked like they were about to explode. The camera cut to Damon Christopher, who was watching in horror. Vincent the Raven squawked twice and flew off. The pen fell from Wulf's bulbous fingers and bounced onto the floor. Wulf shrugged. "Dude, what's the deal?" he said, looking at his hand in confusion. Damon looked at the growing hand with suspicion. He glanced around as if suspecting foul play. Wulf slapped a fly on the side of his head with the big hand and nearly knocked himself over. "Ooh," Wulf said. "This must be a reaction to the bug bite I got at the press conference earlier. I guess I'm allergic?" Wulf looked right at the camera and held up his swollen hand. "Doesn't matter, I can still skate. What matters is saving the Coney Island roller coaster because I am the best, the all-time greatest, the extreme monster." "Wow," murmured Steiner. "With everything that's happened, Wulf's still going on about that ride." "Shh," said the others. "And Wulf will be at the Coney Island roller coaster benefit," Damon interrupted, "bringing glory to Team Pendant." Damon lifted Wulf's swollen hand high and glared straight at the audience. "This allergic reaction," Damon paused as he stared at the hand suspiciously, "will merely postpone the signing. I guarantee that I, Damon Christopher, am bringing Wulf to the greatest action sports company on the planet. You can bank on it." The screen showed the Satellite Extreme Sports Channel logo, then switched to a commercial. "I wouldn't count that money right away," Val said to the television. He turned to his friend. "Looks like Wulf's head is the only thing that's swollen." The monsters burst out laughing. They looked over at Jinx, who was dancing around the room, pumping her fist in the air, shouting, "I knew he wouldn't read the fine print. 3 cheers for wimps who like to read and practice their spelling homework."